Here it is. The one I was looking for all night last night. She's a solid 3 feet wide, no doubt about it. We're thinking anywhere 15 to 20 foot on the section that I can use there. I'm hoping it's close to 20. I think it might be big enough. We're going to have to keep our eyes open for other things, I think, but this may well be the tree. I looked around for a tree in Littleton, Colorado, and South Suburban Parks and Recreation happened to be in the area, and they had a lot of rivers that they were maintaining the bike trails around. And I met a Mr. Joe Pronte, and within a very short period of time, Joe found me a tree, a 20-foot cottonwood, and that's how this whole thing starts. I didn't have a place to put the tree yet, but I talked to a great guy, Poncho, down at the Platte River Bar and Grill, and everybody told me he was cool, and he totally was, and he let me set up camp right behind his place, which was about 40 or 50 yards from the river, from the Platte River, where I wanted to put in. So I got an amazing camp just like that. And I already had the tree, and we are ready to go. I made a sign out of some of the bark off the tree to label it Canoe Camp, and I'd set up a couple of paddles behind it. And then I took my beaver pelt that I got in the Lewis and Clark expedition. That's a long story. But I took that and put it over a coffee can and made a donation bucket out of it, and you had to feed the beaver. That was the idea. And then I made a fire pit, and camp was ready to rock. Before we got going on the carving, we had to do something very special. And my boy Dean, my shaman, actually blessed the canoe by smudging it with sage. And this is a part of our journey. This is how we do it. It basically gets rid of the bad spirits and blesses the canoe for its lifetime. And so the canoe and the paddlers go in peace on the river. Alright, the tree's getting ready to make this journey now. Time to get it on. Time to become a canoe. Apparently, we're chasing out some wasps here from their den already, finding out stuff about this tree. Alright, well, it didn't take long. We got a mob of guys with sharp tools and questionable intelligence
Working on this thing. The bark's coming off, and this is very moist. I mean, when you pick up a piece, it's juicy.
The smell of the wood in camp was very strong, and when I made a fire, sometimes it would blow directly at the deck and into the Platte River Bar and Grill, and they would all comment on it. Nobody really was upset. They all commented what a beautiful smell it was, and I smelled like it all the time. That's what I was told.
It's, I mean, you can actually taste the moisture in it. It's actually sweet, almost like somebody said, like coconut.
I tried to document this thing the best I could while I was actually carving the tree, and it got interesting. But well, one thing I did right off the bat was do a walk around and explain to you what I was thinking and what I was doing throughout the day.
Here we go. I decided to strip up to just past the big knot down here, and the big knot again does not look as troublesome as it once did, but we'll just have to see here. I still could see this being the perch or the bow. I don't know. Now this other knot, if you'll see, she's beautiful. She's very wet. It's so moist. I mean, you get a small chunk off of there and it feels like a sponge. It's amazing. Juicy. Here's the other knot. Now that middle, that definitely wouldn't be good on the bottom, but the whole idea is this one's going to come out. The big one doesn't seem to have that problem in the middle of it, and it might add some character to this canoe. I'm just worried about it being top heavy, so we'll have to think about that as we go. But like I say, very moist. The bark, it was a little difficult getting off, but wound up using the adze more than anything. At first I was taking small sections, cutting a ring around the tree basically about every 4 to 6 inches. Then we were chipping it out with a chisel, and that worked rather well. But once we got the adze into play, it just made a much better job of it. We didn't even have to at one point keep making the cuts. We just kept hacking at it with the adze, and it ripped it off like it's supposed to. Did a wonderful job, and then I finished it with the scorp, and just a light finish just to get an idea of the line here. But it's beautiful wood. I believe it's wide enough. I don't think we have to open it up, which makes it simpler for sure. And now we're just chipping away at the wood to try and make a flat spot all the way across. What we'll do is rough it here and then use the scorp after I fix the handle to finish off the flattening of it. And we're going to get this middle section flat, and then I'll work out towards the bow and the stern, whichever one they are. Again, right now this seems to be the bow, but I'm not sure. Well, as you can see, we've got a nice yellow tint to it now, as opposed to the white of the natural cottonwood. This is what happens when you put the linseed oil on there. But she's drinking it up nicely. She's thirsty, I can tell. Well, although I got a rather late start today, I think I got here about 11:30. I don't even know what time it is now, but got quite a bit done. Decided, as I figured, this is my perch. This is the stern of the canoe. Everybody told me it was a bow. They were wrong. The knot's coming out. I'm working on that. I've made, this is a backrest. It's not going to be that thick, of course, but I'm just giving room for error here. But that's going to be a backrest for a middleman, if and when we have a third paddler. And this is a backrest for the bowman. And the bow is going to come up here. I'll carve into this a little bit and shape it beautifully, and we'll work that out. But it's a good length for the guy. He's going to have some leg room there, and you got to have enough to stretch him a little bit, and then we'll have a nice high prow there. But anyway, you can see I've been chopping at these rather heavily. Mostly with the adze, actually. I started with an axe, then I went to the hatchet, then went to the adze, and the adze is tearing it up as per usual.
The weather was something else. It was Colorado, and we started this thing on March 19th, and it took me 10 weeks to do it. And we went through some different stuff, but generally, as you can see, Colorado is pretty beautiful.
Lovely bit of frost on the ground this morning. Camp is covered with it. Whose idea was it to start this thing in March anyway? Alright, so here we are, day whatever, and this is where we at. I chopped a little more out of the bow here today. We just put a fresh coat of linseed oil when we finished. Fish showed up, and I hacked away at the bow seat, and he proceeded to work at the knot. And back here in the rear compartment, I started working this end a little bit, and there's a lot to work with still, including this big old split, but I don't think that goes that deep. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I'm just not sure how far I'm going to bring it up yet. But again, you can see the linseed oil looks good on there. The blue line is a basic outline, and I've made some areas off limits to chopping for now, while we just get down to the basic nitty-gritty. But this is kind of funny. I've got two wedges wedged way in there, and I'm going to need a third one just to get them out. but I'm going to take this whole chunk off here in one big lump, and that's going to give me a basic bottom for the bow, and I'm going to have to match it on the other side, and then we'll work it down from there. This is still going to come down. It's still a little off center, but you can see I'm bringing it in. I'm going to have it swoop up still, but I'm not sure that I'm going to do it as high as it looks. Now, of course, there's the line again, the blue line down the side is going to be the top of the gunnel. Actually, we'll probably drop it another inch, but I'm just being safe right now. That's 19 inches above waterline. I think we can go to 18 and be okay. Well, that's from the bottom. That's not above waterline. But anyway, it gives you an idea. So we're still not going to have a whole lot up front there, but I'll be able to still have a high prow, no problem. But you can tell I've been hacking at the sides up front here, and anyway, she's looking pretty good. So anyway, it was an amazing day today. The guys, Steve got that knot out single-handedly today. And he and Mark primarily were hacking at the other end where I'd lost the wedges, and they did a fine job on that. And we wound up flipping the canoe on its side before the end of the day. And anyway, it's in that position right now, which will make it easier to finish off the piece that was splitting from the bow, and trying to control that split. The bottom lid's good. It's not splitting or drying out like that. Tomorrow we're going to put some linseed oil on her while we have her on her side, and finish taking out that troublesome area on the bow, and then we'll flip it back over onto its bottom and continue carving out the bow and stern and digging deep. It's a beautiful day. The whole crew is here at Ned and Kelly's, and everybody's having a good time and talking about the tree, and it's a beautiful thing, man. This journey is what it is, and it's a whole lot more than a tree. And, I think it's very special. It's been a great day. This is where we're at. It's what, April 2nd, I guess, huh? I just gave her a new coated linseed oil. You can see, but it brings out the lines rather nicely. The knot right here is becoming rather troublesome. I'm trying to cut it back. I was hacking at quite a bit today and really didn't get very far. Continue to dig down where my seed's going to be, my A and B seed. I have a plan to have a high perch and a low perch, possibly. But I'm very concerned about that